Yo, come on in. This year's been chock full of highly anticipated video games. We've gotten big titles like Resident Evil 4 Remake, Final Fantasy 16, and of course, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Everyone's been playing these games, and I mean, there's still plenty more to come. The year's not even over yet, but Marvel's Spider-Man 2 has been and is my most anticipated game this year. I've played both of Insomniac's Spider-Man games. Hell, I mean, I've been 100% of both games. Not to flex, but, you know, I'm something of a gamer myself. These games mean the world to me. I have sunk endless hours web-swinging my way through them. Like, that's not even a dumb Spider-Man joke. Like, I've enjoyed just the traversal mechanics alone, period. And so the hype is real. I mean, in the same year, we've gotten Across the Spider-Verse, which was the highly anticipated sequel to the first film. Which can I say is an outstanding movie. Please, do yourself the favor and go watch it. And so to finish the year off, we have Insomniac's Marvel Spider-Man 2. Man, Spider-Man fans have been eating good. Except for this. Comic books, man. So I know many of us are excited to see what they've been cooking up these past couple of years. Okay, hold on. Let's go back in time real quick. The first Insomniac Spider-Man had the highest expectations to either be greater or worse than all the previous games before it. Spider-Man games have had a weird trend of like, hey, this is a hit, and hey, this is shit. The bar wasn't exactly set super high from the licensed movie games based on the Amazing Spider-Man movies, so they had to have put very little effort to match those licensed games, but the potential to be worse than them was still a very real possibility, as we had entered the era of video game letdowns. So to see this game come out undercooked wouldn't have been a total surprise to anyone, sadly. The biggest relief was that Activision was no longer a part of Spider-Man, cause thank God. But I, he who had unwavering faith like so many others, had all the hope that they were gonna do it right. And so the package Insomniac delivered is definitely not far off of being a masterpiece of a game. I mean, this is how you do an exclusive game to push your console. I know people who were buying a PS4 just to play it. It has well-refined gameplay mechanics that anyone can pick up and play, with the potential to master its systems. But what mattered just as much was a well-crafted story from the beginning to the end. They went a different route by writing their own Spider-Man story, while still not forgetting the core values of what makes Spider-Man stories great. It almost kind of seemed impossible to make a sequel. In came Spider-Man Miles Morales, which miraculously improved every element of the first game's mechanics. Web swinging had this unique style and uniqueness to something we had already been familiar with. Combat was added upon to have more variety and versatility in what you could do. Dude, I fucking bought a PlayStation 5 on release just so I could play this game. My only real criticism is the direction they took the narrative for Miles in this game. I personally wasn't the happiest with how some things played out, but it was still serviceable. Could be because Into the Spider-Verse reinvented the character in all the best ways. It is an unfair comparison, but the game version still manages to stand out on his own. So back to present day, the hype train for Spider-Man 2 is full steam ahead. Insomniac has perfectly given us teasers on what they've been working on till they were ready to show it. Look, don't underpromise, but don't oversell it. The expectations for this game are high as well, since they somehow constantly further the bar with each title. The first ever reveal teaser we got was during the PlayStation Showcase in 2021. We got a peek at a cinematic running on the PS5 which looked quite good, along with a very good look at both Spider-Man in action with their new suits. Ooh, look at that combo, my man's getting worked. So over the whole thing, we get a nice little monologue from Kraven the Hunter, I guess setting him up as the next big bad for the game. But man, they sent the trailer over the top with Venom's ominous reveal from the shadows. Cool, but don't get me wrong, I was hyped, but it was just a cinematic. Granted, in engine, but a lot of just proof of concept stuff. Remember, game industry no good, so trust issues. And so after that, what we got for the next 2 years was radio silence. Funny enough, it was becoming a meme that Sony was having multiple state of plays with no Spider-Man 2 in sight. I'm not gonna lie, even I was starting to wonder for myself as the 2023 date was approaching. But alright, let's get this out of the way first, because apparently there's been drama surrounding the hype of the sequel, and so my response is I quite frankly don't give a shit. No, seriously though, I get the skepticism to an extent. Yeah, I think some of these guys are just trying to stir up the pot to get a couple clicks and views. But these past years in the game industry have done irreversible damage to the trust gamers have in companies. With the amount of horrendous, mediocre, and overhyped video games, it's difficult to be excited for a game nowadays. People are too busy trying to figure out if what they're seeing is even real. I don't blame anyone, but you gotta know, I'm a huge fan of this character. He's my favorite superhero. I grew up with Spider-Man. So yeah, I'm absolutely biased in my opinions, but not enough to oversee any shortcomings when I see them. But in PlayStation's Summer Showcase this year, they saved the best for last and we finally got a whole gameplay reveal. I mean hell, where to even start? I love all the little hints you can notice throughout the trailer if you've been following the previous games. Like my friend Justin and I watched the trailer back just to point out these little details to try and predict the game's story. You can see in the beginning where Kraven is looking at the map with the locations of characters. Some of them are in places they weren't at the end of their respective games, like the Prowler and Shocker not being in jail anymore. I swear to God, Insomniac has the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever. But they just come in swinging right out the gate with showing off the black suit symbiote. I mean, goddamn, just look at them go. Their take is so unique already. We've never really seen Peter Parker use the symbiote like this before, shooting tendril arms at enemies and using the symbiote as webbing. His attacks are so much more reminiscent of Venom, using the full capabilities of the symbiote itself. Also gotta mention Yuri Lowenthal's range and giving off a more mean and sinister performance for Black Suit Spidey. Yo, I do want to know what the fuck that is. Oh yeah, the iconic Spider-Man missile. Oh my god, man, look at these new finishers. That bitch is broken, like she's just broken. Jesus Christ, Spidey, he's done, man, he's done. What an amazing start, showing off the similar but refined combat. The new web glider looks like it's gonna be a great mix-up to the traversal gameplay. And they finally added an all-time fan favorite move, the slingshot. Dude, it looks so fun. I can just only imagine all the crazy new toys they haven't shown us yet. Like, what's up with Miles having two different types of electricity, blue and yellow? Maybe it's showing that Miles has gotten better control of his powers now. I mean, man, getting into the visuals, it looks like it's gonna be visual eye candy the whole time. The art style is still the same looking, they've just been polishing it up graphically with each game producing a better result. But the animation and choreography looks outstanding. It's a small detail that gets overlooked in most games when it's being done right. Like the weight and momentum of Miles using the jet ski to propel himself forward looks really good. Like, I don't know, it's just something I noticed. Most people are probably like, oh, okay, cool. Okay, so I gotta talk about this part here, cause why? Not that the sequence is bad, honestly, I fucking love it. Reminds me of Resident Evil 4 type of stuff. But like, what was the logic behind it? Couldn't he have just webbed up onto the bridge to get away? I don't know, I just thought it was a little silly, like the part from Prometheus where they could have just ran to the sides of the falling spaceship instead of, you know, forward. And we get a really good feel for how different our Peter Parker from the past games is being affected by the symbiote. His more brutal take on combat and the way he saves this guy from being crushed by the crashing copter, he just throws him off to the side like nothing, as if it's the guy's fault for being in the way of danger. I love it, but I'm skeptical. I feel the hardships of Peter Parker as a person are what makes his story so great. I hope that there will be strong motives for Peter to want to embrace the symbiote's power. Like in Sam Raimi's movie, Peter Parker's life is falling to shit, again. So the symbiote is the perfect excuse and outlet for him to aggressively deal with his problems. I'm just nervous to all the story Insomniac's Peter Parker has left to fuel his upcoming crusade of vengeance. Like maybe he's still coping with the death of Aunt May from the last game and it's taking a toll on his psyche. Spoiler, I guess, but if you didn't know that already, I guess I forgot the part where that's my problem. There's zero doubt in my mind that the gameplay here won't live up to the hype. Insomniac's track record with their gameplay reveals have been pretty spot on. I guess aside from all the people who cried about the missing water puddles in the first game. And so I thought that was really all we were gonna get till the launch of the game. But 2 months later, they put out a shorter trailer showing off new locations, characters, and the general premise of the story. Damn, alright, so I gotta admit, I'm a little unsure about this new Harry. He looks alright, I guess. I don't know, I like the glimpse of his design we saw in the first game better. It's probably because he reminds me of James Franco's Harry, but to each their own. And it's not just Harry who's gotten a design change. Peter's model looks more refined, and it seems MJ was touched up on too. I'm not really gonna count Miles because they just gave him hair, so I know the fan base is super divided on changes Insomniac has made to John Bubniak's model from the first game by switching over to Ben Jordan's in the remastered version and Miles Morales. I personally see all the pros and cons of each model, but what stands out to me the most is the response and the reasoning for the change. So a lot of fans went on to bash Insomniac, saying they changed it to be more in line with Tom Holland's face because he was the current popular Spider-Man at the time. I mean, they just both look younger than John Bubniak's face, so I can see the resemblance. But the official statement they put out on the change was that the new model's face fits better for Yuri Lowenthal, who is not only the voice performance for Peter Parker, but also the facial capture performer too. And I mean, look, when you put these faces side by side, you can see who would resemble who better. So that's all I needed to know, hands down, regardless if I have a preference for one more than the other. If it's a necessary change they feel they need to make to get a stronger, more accurate performance, then I'm all on board for it. It's different for Miles' model. Najee Jeter is Miles Morales. He does all of the performance for Miles, so what you see is quite literally him. But I'm also not a big fan of the changes to MJ's face model too. But like I said, if it helps the performers, then I'm all on board. When people like something originally, it's sometimes hard to accept change. I trust Insomniac's decisions. So getting back, I'm thrilled to explore their expansion of the map by giving us Queens and other surrounding locations. While it'll provide new environments visually, it will also change gameplay wise. No longer using skyscrapers to swing easily will make players get more technical with using urban housing instead. Rarely do I feel any Spider-Man games go outside the main city, so it's gonna be a real treat. We also get to quickly see Miles confronting Martin Lee, the man who killed his father. I can't wait to see how that plays out narratively. Will Miles have grown into a strong enough hero to resist the temptations to lower himself? Like, this is just speculation, but I could definitely see reasons as to why Miles would want the power of the symbiote too. I mean, Insomniac is known to hide stuff till release, so I don't know. Okay, so one of my big concerns is the secret identities in the narrative. In the Miles game, he tells his mom his identity, that he is the other Spider-Man. And it seems that from the gameplay reveal, Miles' friend Genki knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. I'm conflicted with this take, because the secret identity is a core value to superhero stories. It's a core to Spider-Man, the struggle of the hero and the person underneath the suit. If you couldn't tell by now, I love Sam Raimi's trilogy. Peter Parker's decision at the end of the first film to lie to MJ and lie to himself that he doesn't love her shows the struggle Peter Parker has within.
Only your friend, Peter Parker.
That's all I have to give.
A couple days ago, he almost lost his last remaining family member and the love of his life, all because of who he is under the mask. So I know the common explanation is that it's good for Miles to have a stronger support system than Peter had, but it's about the consequences behind the identity. I think it would be very interesting to have Peter give his 2 cents on it, and maybe he tells Miles that he didn't always get it right and even he is still learning from the job. The big reveal at the end of the first game where Aunt May tells Peter she knew he was Spider-Man the whole time hits so hard. Because she didn't want to worry him the same way he didn't want to worry her. She didn't reprimand him for lying to her about it. She understood and knew why he had to make that decision. So at the end of Miles' game, he makes some difficult sacrifices and his identity gets revealed to the people of his community in Harlem. A lot of people say this is reminiscent of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 film, where Peter stops the train and all the people see his identity and keep it a secret. The film scene is so much more impactful in my opinion because Peter throughout the whole film has been fighting with this choice of being Spider-Man or being Peter Parker. And all of these people on the train are total strangers, people he would have like a 1% chance of ever interacting with. And their realization that he's just a kid, a random guy in New York is Spider-Man. Peter's whole identity crisis throughout the film is put to rest here. He needs the people of New York just as much as they need him. The respect and reassurance they give him is enough to know they wouldn't ever reveal that Spider-Man is some nerdy white guy. In these films, you feel as though the people of New York are their own character, New Yorkers. It plays out similarly in the game, but there wasn't nearly enough of a build-up to have that impactful payoff in the end. And the game's narrative is that being Spider-Man is tough, which Miles goes through a lot of trials and tribulations throughout, but the movie's narrative is about why would anyone want to be Spider-Man. And a majority of the people in the game that witness Miles' identity are people you have specifically interacted with in the game. It wasn't terrible, I just didn't feel anything from it. I know, trust me, there are other things fumbling hero identities worse right now. Yeah, I'm not very happy with the direction these shows have been going about it. Hell, even this whole movie, but that's for another discussion. So I'm trying to be optimistic that they'll get it right. They also haven't exactly said who is going to be Venom, but from everything we can gather, it's most likely to be Harry Osborn. And I wouldn't want it to be someone like Eddie Brock out of the blue so they can phone in a half-baked excuse for him to be Venom, as long as that character has the significance and impact to the narrative they write. Also, Venom looks fucking beautiful. God damn, look at that big chonky boy. He looks great. I can't wait to see him in action. If October could just come a little faster. So you could say I'm a little excited. I think Sony's marketing team made sure to plan it all out right. Non-stop Spider-Man chatter throughout the year. Clever gal, Sony. Clever gal. If I haven't made it clear enough, I care a lot about Spider-Man, and I have faith in everyone at Insomniac Games. Some last minute things. I can't wait to see if they make all the alternate suits have a black symbiote version. No more shitty slow missions like the MJ ones. Oh, and no more shitty little puzzle mini games. But do keep QuickTime events, cause fuck you, QuickTime events are cool, and I don't know why games stop having them. Oh, and I better see the wall make some sort of cameo, cause we got Big Wheel. Okay, I think that's it. Well, hey, thanks for making it to the end if you did. More so, thanks for listening to me be a whole ass nerd for Spider-Man for how long? Ooh. So, I can say that I do believe there is potential for Marvel Spider-Man 2 to be spectacular. Oh, and if it sucks,